Animal Shelter Building Advisory Committee to think they have to make a decision on Friday, one way or the other. It seems to me that they have a lot to do on Friday because they're going to be getting the costs and they're going to be deciding whether to recommend an RFP. And perhaps it might be better to see where they come down on that. And then next Tuesday, we can then instruct them, okay, either you have an RFP and let's continue down both paths, or you don't have an RFP, so let's just go down one path. So I'm kind of agnostic as to whether we instruct them now or not. I just didn't want to give them too much to have to do on Friday.
Good evening, and welcome to the school committee meeting of April 12th, 2023. Call this meeting to order. And the first thing on our agenda is to approve our agenda. Are there any changes or deletions?
We don't need to have a facilities advisory committee
Okay,
report tonight.
all right, thank you. Any other changes or deletions? Okay. So next thing on our agenda is a superintendent's update. So Superintendent McKinney.
Thank you, Chair Rosemary.
What about the flag?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh, for goodness sake. Yes, we're not used to being here in person, and we have a wonderful flag and a flag holder in our room. So please join me as tradition to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Superintendent McKinney.
Thank you again. Certainly want to begin by thanking Ada Rosemarin and Betty White for their guidance and support this year. Ada, thank you for your tireless work as chair during this challenging year and for your years of dedicated service to the Milton Public Schools. Betty, thank you too for all your work this year, especially with the policy subcommittee and the negotiations subcommittee. You both will be dearly missed. Here at the district, we've been busy with screening committees for several important positions. We filled positions for the Director of Pupil Personnel Services and the Assistant Director of Pupil Personnel Services. We're in the process of interviewing finalists for the Tucker School Principal and the Assistant Superintendent for Business, and we will certainly keep you updated. And a recommendation for the Director of Consolidated Facilities will be provided to the school committee in May. Last week, the early release day, the elementary schools focused on Comm Classroom, Schoology, and teacher collaboration. And the secondary schools followed up on key learning on data analysis, restorative practices, and again, teacher collaboration. Looking ahead, next week is our spring break. April 25th is annual town elections. The next meeting for the reorganization of the meeting of the school committee will be on April 26th. And town meeting begins with its first night on May 1st, with meetings potentially continuing through May 2nd, 4th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. And May 10th, there will be a public hearing regarding school choice, followed by the regularly scheduled school committee meeting. And that concludes our updates for this evening.
Very good. Thank you, Superintendent McKinney. Next on our agenda is Citizen Speak. And since we're in person, I actually have a list here of people who've signed up, which is just remarkable. First one on our list is Kevin Donahue.
Good evening. Kevin Donahue, 203 School Street. I came this evening to say congratulations. Congratulations to Betty White and to Ada Rosemarin on 6 tremendous years here at the school committee. It's hard to put into words exactly what serving on a committee like this is like. At least words you can say publicly. And I had the privilege of working with the two of you for 4 years, and it was a tremendous experience. Betty, your insights into town politics and your phenomenal wealth of knowledge in terms of who knew whom and voted in which way on which election is unparalleled and was tremendously helpful as we negotiated budget season after budget season and critical issue after critical issue. There were very few problems that we encountered that Betty could not help move along with let me give them a call, or let me send them an email. It was very helpful. Your focus on the student perspective at times was also very helpful. I think your day job, when you're not here, gave you a window into the experience that our pupils have in the school system. And, as we sit and we talk about budgets and sort of, the 30,000-foot view, it was very helpful to have you there reminding us of what the view was like on the ground, in the classroom, behind the desk, and in front of the desk. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. Thank you for your time, your effort, the countless nights, the extensive advice. Ada, there wasn't a problem that we encountered that you could not tackle. You took our strategic plan, which was a wonderful, glorious outline of a document and ideas and thoughts, and you turned that into reality in a very short amount of time. Sort of an embarrassingly short amount of time for those of us who had been toiling on that outline up until that date. When you sort of put your shoulder into any problem, we found out quickly which was the immovable force, and it was rarely the problem. Your work on the school building committee is and continues to be incredible, and I'm not sure I can capture what it meant to have your perspective, having been involved with the schools and education for as long as you have been, helping us and guiding us. And as I say, as you scale from sort of the ground level view to the 30,000-foot view, your perspective along the way was particularly helpful. Your humanizing comments and contextualizing in the background as we went through labor negotiations and discussed policy issues were always very insightful, and I'm grateful to have worked with you for 4 years. And I'm thrilled to welcome you shortly. Not yet, you still have another meeting to get through. To the emeritus ranks, where we can sit in the back of town meeting and tell people that we would do it better, of course, because we would, and offer our wisdom, mostly solicited, but sometimes unsolicited. Thank you so much for all of your hard work the past 4 years. It has been a true labor of love and a true privilege to have worked with you, and for my children to receive the benefits of your labor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I apologize if I went over 3 minutes.
Next is Linda Lee Sheridan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Linda Lee Sheridan, 57 Clifton Road. Oops. Whoa. Sorry. I just want to come here this evening to share, and I'm not going to repeat the wonderful words that Kevin just shared, but just give a little bit of a different perspective, I think, on these two women that I've known for so long. Betty and Ada have both dedicated their entire careers to education and to children. And I've said to other people before, the number of lives that they've touched, both in their careers and through their work on the school committee, is remarkable. And you have had an impact on so many lives, and we're all better for it. We know how much, as a former school committee member myself, we know how many hours this job requires, but you did it lovingly and passionately and so very diligently. You just always have Milton and the children in your best interest. So thank you for 6 wonderful years. And the rest of you, oh my goodness, you're going to miss them, I know. And before I leave, I was remiss in not being here at Bill Ritchie's last meeting, but I just want to lift up a few words to Bill Ritchie because from when I was on school committee for 9 years and then serving on the facilities subcommittee with him all these years since, he just is, again, a wealth of information and such a huge asset to this community on so many different levels. And he went from being just the school person to the consolidated facilities, in the consolidated facilities role, and did it seamlessly and makes it look so easy, but again, which we know it isn't. So I just wanted to say a word of congratulations. I don't know if he'll see this or hear this, but I just think it's important to lift it up publicly that he should be thanked for all the good work that he did. So thank you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Daniel White.
It's been a while since I've sat in one of these chairs. We're here to just say thank you to Betty and Mom and Ada tonight. My mom's worked really tirelessly for the town of Milton, really for several decades now. And she's really helped, continue making Milton a great place to live and grow up. And, I've definitely benefited from it. So, we just wanted to say thank you. And, she grew up in a house where there was town politics. And then, therefore, I grew up in a house where there was town politics. And, growing up, going to many drops, doing a lot of, mail drops. I don't know if they still do that anymore. Hopefully not.
They do.
Yeah. And, getting together to mail out envelope cards. She really has worked very hard for a long time to, shape Milton and help just like you all are now. So, when she first told me she was running for school committee, I think I said, okay, but just don't run for selectman, please, for me. And, since she's been on, I've really seen her, at various subcommittees, when they were all working from Zoom, and, a lot of early mornings, late nights, really working, and it's been inspiring. So, I hope I can get some of that in my own, personal, professional life, and really continue, off of her legacy. So, and she's really been able to do that, I think, once I left, the house, and, I wasn't an adolescent in this high school, she's really been able to focus a lot of her efforts, on this committee, and it's really been, great to see. So, congratulations on, 6 years of hard work, and thank you for your contributions over these years. And now I hope we can just get a few less signs on the front yard. But I'm not holding my breath, but I can hope. So.
I'm Alan Rosemarin, 32 Columbine Road. Full disclosure, related by marriage to Ada and by spirit to Betty. And I just want to say, and I'm going to primarily direct the comments to Ada and her work, improving and bettering the education and the development of children, especially young children, has been the work of Ada's lifetime. This began more than 40 years ago professionally in Oregon, working for Head Start. And when she returned east, she continued to develop and then implement policy on the state level in Massachusetts for early childhood education. When she chose to stay home to raise our 3 wonderful children, she had a need to continue to build, and she founded and led MICA, the Milton Early Childhood Alliance, which continues to flourish and do wonderful things for the children of this town. She was an important part of the school building program 15 or so years ago. She subsequently has been involved, as you all know, in the school building committee, in the school committee, and most recently as chair of that committee. I and those who know you and love you are so immeasurably proud of what you've done, Ada. Just beautiful. But the success isn't just measured by those schools that we renovated, by the programs developed. Success is also measured by the people we work with, whether we are training or mentoring or learning from others. That is also the work of one's success. And as I look at all of you devoting yourselves to the education of our children, I know the future is bright. More importantly, I know the future is bright for the children of this town and the state of Massachusetts, because you have touched innumerable lives, and I just can't say how thankful we all are, and I, as your husband, am proud of you that we are. I love you. You've earned some rest at the end of this. I'm happy to no longer be a school committee widower. I will welcome you back into our home. And I just want to say, continue the fight that all of you are fighting right now to improve the lives of the children in the town of Milton. So thank you.
Oh, boy.
May I be recognized to
Sure.
add a few comments?
Sure, Dr. Carroll.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for those thoughtful remarks, and thank you for sharing your loved ones with us and the work that we've all been doing together. I am honored to share a few remarks on behalf of my colleagues on the school committee and the district. And there might be a little bit of repetition with some of the points that we've just heard, but I think it could bear repeating as we thank you for your service. So I'm going to start, Betty, with you. And the goal that I have here is just to remind all of us in this community, what Betty and Ada have contributed during their time on school committee. Betty White has been always an advocate for students, our public schools, and most importantly for the town of Milton. Whether it was as a private counselor or in her role as a school adjustment counselor for the Dedham Public Schools, Betty possesses a gift when it comes to guiding people along a path so they're able to achieve their own academic or personal success. This career has helped Betty in her role as a school committee member. Betty joined the Milton School Committee in 2017 and has worked tirelessly alongside her fellow members to educate the staff, parents, guardians, and students and Milton community members on a variety of topics. Being an active member of several school committee subcommittees kept Betty busy. She attended finance subcommittee meetings on a weekly basis, working hard to present the annual budget at town meeting. With the guidance of the Assistant Superintendent for Business, the superintendent, and other school committee members, Betty fought for our teachers, staff, and students. Throughout her tenure on the Milton School Committee, Betty was involved in the Facilities Advisory Committee, the Policy Subcommittee, Health and Wellness Advisory Committee, School Building Committee, as well as being an integral member on the Negotiation Subcommittee. No one tells you when you sign on to become a school committee member that this commitment goes above and beyond attending regular meetings twice a month. There are often times when these subcommittee meetings are scheduled for 7 a.m. Betty graciously attended and/or chaired many of these subcommittees, sharing her expertise with all. In addition to her commitment to the Milton Public Schools, Betty is a longtime town meeting member and has been a member of the Capital Planning Committee and a member of the Warrant Committee twice. Betty, we hope you are able to enjoy this newly found downtime, although I'm sure you will remain active in town government in some capacity, whether it be someone asking for your help with a campaign, coordinating dear friend cards or holding signs, or a future school committee member asking for guidance. We know we will always be able to count on you for support. You will be missed on the Milton School Committee. Okay, so Ada Rosemarin has dedicated her career to education. She has held several important positions over the years, all concentrating on improving the educational experience for early childhood learners. Some of these include teacher, program coordinator for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and director of Milton Early Childhood Alliance. It was her work with the Milton Early Childhood Alliance that fostered her commitment to providing a full-day kindergarten program to the students of Milton. According to the annual report submitted for 2007-2008, quote, in September 2007, a pilot program was launched at Tucker Elementary School, and in January of 2008, the state announced that Milton would receive a grant to implement the program district-wide in the fall of 2008. The Milton Public Schools and the entire Milton community will be forever grateful to Ada for her persistence in obtaining this goal for the children of Milton. Her commitment to education did not stop there. In 2017, Ada joined the Milton School Committee and continued her steadfast support of the Milton Public Schools. In her time as a school committee member, Ada has participated or chaired several subcommittees, including Facilities Subcommittee, Health and Wellness Advisory Committee, Policy Subcommittee, and Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. She was instrumental in the development of the Milton Public Schools Strategic Plan. She has also been a contributing member of the School Building Committee since the beginning, when our schools were undergoing new construction and renovation. As a matter of fact, tomorrow Ada will be submitting a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority with the hope of obtaining funding for the construction of a new school for the students of Milton. This will be the third time she has undertaken this project. Ada, over the last year, you have chaired the Milton School Committee through some difficult times. You have done so with grace and respect for your fellow school committee members, members of the administration, and for the staff, students, and families of Milton. On behalf of the Milton School Committee, we wish you many days ahead of relaxation and enjoying your family and friends. Thank you again for all you have done for the Milton Public Schools. Your presence will be missed on the school committee, but we are certain you will stay involved somehow.
Thank you.
And I just want to share a quick update about a couple of gifts that are in the works for each of you from us, your school committee colleagues. And thank you for each having contributed and helped me with ideas for one another's gifts. So, Betty, in recognition of your service on the school committee, we're in the process of planning a little landscaping project to beautify the area around the bench outside the high school in honor of your dad. And we're excited to continue building that as a nice spot for people to rest and take in all that Milton High School and Milton Public Schools has to offer.
That's lovely.
So in some of your free time, feel free to stop by and read a book or a magazine. And we are going to be working on getting that set up in honor of you.
Nice. Thank you.
And Ada, we are excited to share that actually the Milton Foundation for Education had already been in the process of funding a couple of communication boards, which are a tool that sort of are placed in a playground, and they're a colorful sort of board that kids can use to express their feelings and what they're learning about and thinking about. And these communication boards promote inclusion and social emotional learning for young children. And the one that will be shortly installed at Cunningham Collicott, again with the support of MFE, we are going to dedicate to you. And school committee will be getting a plaque to install there so that people will remember the contributions that you've made. So thank you both so much. Hopefully nothing too interesting will happen in these next couple of weeks before you move along. But thank you all for also being here tonight.
Thank you. Lady, you want?
Sure. Sorry, I was gonna. So I just want to share that it has been an honor and a privilege and mostly a joy to serve along such wonderful colleagues and to work collaboratively with our administrative team, our talented principals, and our staff. We are so fortunate to work with such a talented professional group. I want to thank the superintendents I had an opportunity to work with. I want to give a special thanks to Charlene Roach and to Laurie Dunn in the central office for all of their support and attention to detail and keeping our schedule straight. Glenn, I want to especially thank you for coming back and returning to help in this role. I don't know how I could have gotten through the budget process without you helping, and I can never express enough thanks for you coming back to do the work that you've done. It's been appreciated by all of us. The role of school committee member is such a time commitment, and I don't think anyone really understands the time commitment until we start all these meetings. And I think, I want to thank other members that I served on the school committee with, Kevin Donahue, Sheila Varela, Elaine Craighead, Margaret Eberhardt, for the pleasure of working with all of you. I want to thank the new town administrator, not so new anymore, Nick Milano, for his collaborative efforts to help us with the budget process. As a member of the school building committee for the last 4 years, I think, 4 years. I want to say especially thanks to Sean O'Rourke, who is a superstar, to Glenn, Aqua, Tim, Scott, and Kerry, and Mike for all the work that they've done on the school building committee. And Ada, one second. I cannot imagine these last 6 years without your friendship, your patience, your support, and your guidance, and this leadership of the last year has been unbelievable. And as much as I think, oh my God, I've got so many meetings this week, I've got so much to do, it doesn't hold a candle to all the work that you did as the chair of this committee in the last year. So I want to thank all the current school committee members. Thank you for your service, your commitment, and your time. And I want to tell you that we're all here for the children of this town. I want you to be brave and keep the children in this town in the forefront of all of your efforts, because the road ahead may not be easy, but it's worth the fight. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Just have a few words. Just thank everyone here and throughout the Milton Public Schools community for everyone's dedication, hard work, to our faculty and staff, parents, guardians, district leadership, my fellow school committee members, and the students who make us all so proud. I know the entire town will provide a warm welcome to our new superintendent, Peter Burrows, who will begin in July. And I urge our community to support a new school building project to accommodate our expanded enrollment and provide the outstanding education that our students deserve. The first step to do that, I hear the drum roll out there. The first step to do that is to vote yes on the land swap at town meeting. And I hope our town meeting members help us do the right thing for our children and the future of the town by voting yes on the land swap. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve in this role, and I look forward to having more time to spend with my growing family. So thank you all. Moving on to our agenda. We have the chair's report, and the first item on the chair's report is to review and approve the statement of interest to the School Building Authority. And as was mentioned earlier, this is actually the fourth time that we've done a statement of interest, and some of you have been through this a few times. I'll go quickly through this just to provide you context for what it is we're asking for your approval on. We are required by the Mass School Building Authority, MSBA, to acquire votes to authorize the submission of our statement of interest. And the SOI, Statement of Interest, is the first step in MSBA's school building construction funding pipeline. There's no town commitments at this time, no guarantees of acceptance by MSBA, and we know that this is a very competitive process. This year, out of 54 submissions from school districts across Massachusetts, there were 10 that were accepted. And just to be clear about how those decisions are made, the MSBA's funding is based on 1 cent on the sales tax. And so their funding is limited, and the cost of construction projects and the number of the construction projects needed way exceed the funding available. And so we're up against school districts that are facing similar and worse challenges, and we just keep submitting in the hopes that we will get their approval. This SOI is due this Friday, so this is the last approval. Last night, the Select Board approved the submission unanimously. If the MSBA then goes through their due diligence during this year, and sometime at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, they'll make their decisions and authorize the invitation to be part of their eligibility phase, and which are sort of a series of steps that people have to go through. So our statement of interest is focused on one school, the Cunningham School, because that's what MSBA requires, is that you have to specify one school. However, we all know that the overcrowding is taking place certainly in all of our elementary schools, and over these last 4 years has moved up to the middle school and the high school. But we still are focusing this application on the Cunningham, but in the SOI, as you've probably read, it really represents the overcrowding in all 4 schools. And there are priorities that MSBA has, and we are submitting under 2 different priorities. One is existing severe overcrowding, and that's priority 2, and priority 4 is the prevention of severe overcrowding expected to result from increased enrollment. You all have had the materials, and I'll just open it up if there are any questions about the SOI or the process. And if when we're ready, we have a very lengthy motion that MSBA requires for us to take a vote on. So any questions on the SOI, the comments? Okay, well, hearing none, let me make a motion, and the motion reads as this. Having convened in an open meeting on April 12, 2023, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the School Committee of Milton, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest form to be submitted to the MSBA by no later than Friday, April 14th, 2023, for consideration in 2023 for the Cunningham Elementary School, located at 44 Edge Hill Road, Milton, Massachusetts, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Priority 2, elimination of existing severe overcrowding. Priority 4, prevention of severe overcrowding expected to result from increased enrollments. The elementary enrollment in Milton Public Schools has grown by 24%, 451 students over the past 15 years. Since the last school building project was completed, from 1,873 students in 2008 to 2,324 students in 2023, far exceeding the capacity of Milton Elementary School buildings, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the town to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. You hear a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, you can just raise your hand. Very good. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on our agenda is ratification of the Unit B and Unit D contracts. And it's my understanding that these have already been ratified by Unit B and Unit D members. Just make a motion, and if there are, let me just see, do we have a motion in here? Motion is made to ratify the Unit B and Unit D collective bargaining agreements for 2022-2025. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, comments, questions? I just want to thank our bargaining team, Dr. Carroll and Member White and Dr. Pavlicek and Dr. McKinney for all your efforts in bringing this. This completes our bargaining cycle for this season, and very much appreciate your efforts. There any other comments? Okay, well, we'll take a vote then. All those in favor, you can raise your hand. Very good. Thank you. That's unanimous. Wonderful. Thank you. Next on our agenda is a policy subcommittee, and Dr. Carroll, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So this evening we have a second reading of two policies that we went through last time. The first one is policy ID, the certified therapy animals policy. I did send around today the updated version, and I do see that the copy we have here reflected that one correction that came through our first reading discussion. But other than that, I guess I'll make a motion to approve this policy so then we can see if there's any question or further discussion. So I will, make a motion to approve the second reading of policy ID, certified therapy animals. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this policy? Okay. So then we can take a vote. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. The second policy for this evening is policy GBEA, staff ethics conflict of interest policy. Similarly, I'll make a motion for this. I do have an update to share. Should I actually share that before I make the motion, or?
Sure.
Okay, I'll just tell you. So to follow up on our first reading discussion of the policy. Our conversation last time centered on the definition of immediate family. I did follow up with Attorney Joe Emerson to check on what would be possible in terms of including further language pertaining to a relationship that was not someone residing in the same household as the employee. The response from Joe Emerson and the reason why this language has not changed was basically that that was not something he would advise trying to include in the policy. mainly because of the difficulty of characterizing essentially a romantic relationship anytime from like the time it begins up to the time that someone would decide to cohabitate with a partner. And his opinion was that that trying to pin down the nature of a romantic relationship, like not including cohabitation, that would be basically difficult, unadvisable to do. And so for that reason, the language that we see here is still the same, but I will make a motion on this policy and then see what further questions and comments people have. And if we feel that we need to continue, exploring this, we can discuss that. So I'll make a motion to approve. I'm not used to having all these papers in front of me. I'm sorry. Make a motion to approve the second reading of policy GBEA, staff ethics, conflict of interest. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks. Any questions or further discussion of this policy?
So no question on my part, just I appreciate the fact that, we went back and explored more. I just sort of was worried or wanting to make sure that we had as much protection as possible. Mm-hmm. Because there are, two individuals could have a long-term relationship, still decide not to cohabitate, but it would still raise sort of an issue of conflict. And based on this language, it would have to be that they are living under the same roof in order for there to be a need to disclose the conflict. So that is worrisome to some degree, but I do understand sort of from a pragmatic standpoint, logistically, being able to track, what constitutes a romantic relationship that should be disclosed or not is challenging. But I do appreciate going back and trying to dig a little further and see if we could sort of, create more protections for the district overall, just to make sure. But, understand the limitations as well.
Thanks, Dr. Miranda. I share the concern, and so, I think it's important also to sort of view it in the context of the whole policy, and it does, in the second paragraph, I think there's a broad statement that no employee will engage in or have a financial interest in, but engage in any activity that conflicts or raises a reasonable question of conflict with his duties and responsibilities in the school district. And I'm actually realizing I would like to change that pronoun right there. I think that's sort of an overarching statement that is important to kind of maintain the standard for everybody, including in sort of gray areas. So I appreciate your attention to that. And if it's okay with everybody, I would, while I'm just on that sentence, and since this is our second reading, I would change that to like a gender neutral pronoun.
Their duties, yeah.
Their duties. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, well, seeing none, we can move forward with a vote. So all in favor of approving this policy? Okay, great. That's unanimous. Thank you all very much. Just under policy subcommittee report, generally, the policy subcommittee did meet yesterday, and we will be bringing forward a policy for a first reading to our next school committee meeting. I am not remembering the lettering of the policy, but it's, the policy essentially about school committee communication with the superintendent and staff. So that will be coming forward. We discussed adopting an updated version of that, so we'll be able to discuss that at our May 10th meeting. And additionally, we continue to be in a productive conversation about our communication policy with parents and guardians. And so that's something that we will also be bringing forward, if not at our next meeting, the one after that. And so thank you to my colleagues on policy. Thank you, Betty, for your service on that subcommittee this year. And that concludes the policy subcommittee report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carroll. Next on the agenda is finance.
We have 3 warrants to approve tonight, and I can put them all together. And so we're asking for an approval of, make a motion to approve vendor number warrant 37 in the amount of $574,597.64. Vendor warrant number 38 in the amount of $239,389.15. And vendor warrant number 39 in the amount of $642,278.40. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
Good.
And that's the end of the finance report.
Very good. Thank you, Member White. Next is health and wellness. Who is reporting for health and wellness?
Yes, that's me.
Is that you, Kim?
Sorry.
Boy, I got a busy night.
So this is me, and Anna, if you can add to this too, if anything I miss. But we had a good meeting of health and wellness last week. The goal of the meeting was to hear updates from the various leaders that sit on the Health and Wellness Advisory Committee. And the goal that we have basically is to compile a report, which is in process for Dr. Burrows, to sort of orient him to the variety of work that happens under this umbrella of health and wellness. The key topics that we discussed, I'll just provide some sort of headline updates. So we continued to discuss the health curriculum pilot, which is underway this year using the Michigan model, which is a research-based health curriculum that is being supported as a pilot through grants that were secured by Principal McDavitt. Karen McDavitt updated us that she sent out a survey to parents and paraprofessionals who have been involved in teaching the Michigan model so far this year at the elementary level. It's happening in 3rd grade throughout the 4 schools. She's received positive feedback, agreement that the Michigan model is effective as a curriculum, but recognition that the implementation thus far has been somewhat inconsistent. It has been a struggle with the staffing levels that we have and the schedule to find the time to sort of fully implement the curriculum. So they have just been taking some different pieces and working with them. I think there seems to be a sense that this has been a positive step forward, and that we still have work to do to figure out how health curriculum will live in the Milton Public Schools, especially in the elementary grades. We also heard about somewhat inconsistent implementation thus far at the high school of the new health curriculum. And generally, the information that was shared with us, both from elementary, middle, and high school, was that really undertaking this health curriculum needs to be under the structure of leadership that can coordinate this effort, which would be a director of health and wellness, a health director, or something to that effect. This is, we reported on this after our last meeting, that was a consensus on this advisory committee, but especially in hearing about the rollout of this health curriculum pilot, that seems really important. We heard updates from Kim Coughlin about where we're at in terms of the DESE frameworks for health curriculum, which were last updated in 1999. And so that's another factor, is that we are working with very outdated standards in the areas of health and wellness. Kim did indicate that the state frameworks are in the process of being updated, that they're getting close to public comment for updates to the state framework, so that's promising. She shared that traditionally with other content areas, when DESE does update the frameworks in a subject, they then offer grant money subsequent to that for districts to apply for funding to align and implement with training for teachers and so on. So that's something that we want to pay close attention to. But we did have a discussion, including with our colleagues from the Milton Coalition, about the tension that we have here, which is wanting potentially to make sure that any health curriculum we fully roll out would be aligned to any new standards that are coming. And also recognizing that our students need updated health curriculum now. So that is a little bit of, that's a tension in terms of urgency to move forward with updated curriculum, but also not wanting to implement something broadly that, may not turn out to be aligned to the standards. However, as I said, the Michigan model does seem to be a very high quality research-based curriculum, so we'll just have to pay attention to that going forward. I think I'll just underscore on the curriculum piece the need to keep our eye on staffing and scheduling to make that effective and to ensure that kids get the health curriculum that they need. As far as SEL advisory team goes, we got updates that the SEL leads are going to continue doing the work in each of the buildings, leading SEL work, transitioning from the Calm Classroom initiative, which is being passed on to teachers at this point to implement. And then the SEL leads will focus on trauma-sensitive schoolwork, which is another focus area for them. Karen McDavitt was able to secure additional $40,000 of grant funding to compensate the SEL leads for their time this coming summer to work on the trauma-sensitive school training that they need. We got an update from the board, the health department, around the community assessment that's happening. They're still doing data collection, but they hope to wrap that up right around the end of April. The Milton Coalition will be holding a community forum on April 27th at 6:30 p.m. at the Milton Hospital to share findings of their report that we received a presentation about. Kim Coughlin shared that Milton is on track to complete all the mandated screenings for the first time in 10 years. And that was made possible, according to her, by having the additional nurses that we were able to hire under the ARPA and ESSER funds. She pointed out that now that we by completing all the mandated screenings, that makes us eligible to apply for additional grant funding that we've not been eligible for when we were not completing all of the screenings. So that's an important note. And then we also congratulated Natalia Perez for being selected as the permanent director of food service from her interim role. And then the final set of updates, Anna actually took notes on from Marty O'Keefe McKenna, was sort of sharing about her work as the family liaison and the role that she plays in helping families transition into the district, either through pre-K, kindergarten, or when they move in at whatever grade they join. And she is doing a lot of different work for the school. She's going to all the different elementary schools every day, developing relationships with staff and families, and serving on many different boards and within the district and in the community. So it was great to hear about all of those pieces. Anna, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I just wanted to say that she really, like, having her in that role is so crucial because of families coming in. You know, she was saying that she researches everything that was going on in the district and includes them in the S'mores newsletter that they can translate. So all of that information is right at their fingertips. So I thought that was very useful. And, you know, and some of the, you know, and she helps a lot of families with, like, you know, partnering with, like, Steel and Rye for families that have food insecurities. Like, all of those things I thought was really awesome. And she was just kind of telling me, like, just listening to her talk, it was like to see, like, how her position and role has, like, kind of morphed over the last 9 years. So it's amazing how much need we have in this community, and it's great that we have her.
Thanks. Any questions?
I would
or-
just say it would be nice to have her come to the committee sometime and report a little bit about what she does, because I think a lot of people might not know about her, and she does some really good work.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Thank you for that thorough report. I was curious about the Michigan model. Is that, what grade level is that for? Is that just elementary, or does that go all the way up
It's
to?
pre-K through 12.
It is.
Yes, so that's one of the things that's really good about it, is it can be vertically aligned across grades and levels. But, you know, as I mentioned, we're not able to kind of access all the benefits of that this year, where we're just piloting sort of select components of it. But that was one of the things Karen McDavitt cited as a benefit of that particular curriculum, because it also then allows you to balance sort of helpful repetition of concepts one year to the next, where there are certain things that you want to be able to return to and kind of provide age-appropriate, you know, information about these concepts more than once, but at the same time avoiding repetition, so, or redundancy, which I gather from our discussions has been present at other times when there have been, like, different curriculums used in different places. So, yeah.
That's great.
When I was in Dedham, they used the Michigan model, and it was very well received for the whole district. It was good.
Terrific. Oh, thank you, Dr. Carroll and Member Varghese, for that report. Next on our agenda is approval of minutes. And we have two different sets of minutes, March 1st and March 22nd. And I'm going to do them votes on those separately because we have, I was not here for March 1st, and Member Ross Denny was not here for March 22nd, so in terms of our votes. Let's let me just find so I'll start first with a motion to approve the revised Milton School Committee minutes from March 1st, 2023. That's right, and these were, we reviewed once,
Thank you so
and
much
then
for
we,
making those edits.
yeah. That thank you for pointing that out, and so the edits were included in this revised draft. Any questions about those? No? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, that's great. I'm going to actually recuse myself from that vote. I'm sorry, I raised my hand, but it's only 5.
Oh, you're abstaining.
Yeah, I'm abstaining, yes. So the second set is from March 22nd. Motion is made to approve the Milton School Committee minutes for March 22nd, 2023. Any comments, questions? Okay. So we'll take a vote on that then. All those in favor? There we go, it's 5, and everyone abstaining? Okay. Very good. Thank you. Also want to, is there another question?
Well, actually, this was the meeting that you were
March 22nd.
not present, right?
Yes.
That's why I abstained.
That's
Right,
what-
but it actually lists you as present.
Oh, right. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so we have to just take that off of the actual minutes. Thank you. Very good. Also, wanted to mention that we all had in our packets the finance report for third quarter, was it?
Yep.
Third quarter, and we weren't able to add that to the agenda, but it is in our packets, and it will be shared, be posted online. So there's that. Good. Next meeting agenda items. Any?
What would you and Betty like to talk about?
All right, I'm going to leave it to you all. All right. I'll let you all figure that one out. How's that sound? So we will need to adjourn to executive session, and I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of approving minutes, and to adjourn directly from executive session, not to return to open session. Do we need to, do we have a second? Thank you. Do we need to do a roll call vote for that?
Roll call on executive session.
Okay, roll call vote. Member Rostani?
Yes.
Member White?
Yes.
Dr. Carroll?
Yes.
Member Varghese? Dr.
Yes.
Miranda? And Chair Rosemary, yes. Very good. So we will just go into the other room, right behind us here. There's an opening in the curtain, and we'll head right in there. Thank you all.